Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been about 6 months that I've owned the Pentax K1 now, so I figured it's time to do a review on it. I'm going to start the review off with the weakness of the K1, and that's the video. I've loved this camera and very much enjoyed using it, but that is the weakest point of the camera, is the video. You have 1080p to choose from, and either 24 or 30 frames a second, and that's it. There's no log profile. In fact, there's hardly any color profiles or picture profiles of any kind when shooting video on the K1. So as far as settings go in the videos, you're rather limited in what you can do. I've noticed a lot of YouTubers will just say the video sucks in Pentax cameras and then move on to the other parts. So this entire video has been shot on either the Pentax K1 or the Pentax K70 that we're using right now. So another weakness of the K1, it has excellent Ibis built into it, but it's disabled for video shooting. I wish Pentax would have left it enabled. I've heard they disabled it because of the noise it causes when filming video, but the terrible audio preamps in the K1 kind of makes me wish that Ibis just worked. I'm using a Zoom H1N right now to record the audio for that very reason. Using the mic jack with something like a Rode VideoMic Pro on the hot shoe up here leads to a lot of really strange and annoying electronic noise that comes through the K1's preamps. So the external recorder is the answer for me. Now that we've gotten the elephant out of the room for the K1 here on the less than featured video, I guess we can call it, let's move on to what makes this camera so great. The ergonomics on this camera are awesome. Holding this camera is pure win. The grip is nice and deep. It feels right in my hand. When I'm carrying it, I can barely grip it between the grip and this little nub they put on the back. So it makes it very pleasurable to hold and easy to carry around all day, despite it being kind of a porker compared to modern mirrorless cameras. All of the dials and buttons are laid out very thoughtfully on this camera. I'm absolutely in love with this function wheel setup that allows me to assign the extra dial as I see fit. Pentax really has killed it with this idea. There are tons of user presets over on the left side of the body, and the locking mechanism for it is a nice touch. Pentax has given us a few extra buttons on the left of the lens mount that have some customizable functions, as well as the usual AF and AEL buttons on the right side of the camera where your thumb normally would rest. This camera has tons of options to make it your own. The only thing I would have liked to have seen on the K1 is a better way to move your AF points around. Using the D-pad works fine, but it does seem less easy and intuitive when compared to joysticks and modern mirrorless cameras that allow you to touch the touchscreen and drag the autofocus points around. One other thing that makes this camera an absolute joy to shoot is the large and magnificent optical viewfinder. Pentax seems to take pride in being one of the only manufacturers who still build prism finders into their cameras, and they include them in almost every camera, even like the less expensive K70 cameras. On the K1, I can get away with using my old legacy glass and manual focus through the viewfinder even. On those occasions where I really want to pinpoint my accuracy, the peaking in the live view shooting is actually quite good. Also, I suppose it wouldn't be a Pentax K1 video without talking about the War of the Worlds looking screen on the back. The design essentially gives you the ability to shoot from waist level at most angles as well as overhead. I still prefer the fully articulating screen like the K70 has, but the K1 gets the job done in most situations just fine. Plus, the K1 screen doubles as a flashlight for the back of the camera with the touch of a button. The other quirky but smart feature that Pentax included into this camera are the LED lights on the back of the screen that I just mentioned, as well as one on the lens mount, and there's even one in the SD card slot. Nice thinking, Pentax. And while we're talking about the physical features of the K1, I'd be remiss to not mention the famous Pentax weather sealing. I never worry about my K1 when I'm out hiking. I know I can take it with me, I can sweat all over it, I can hike through a rain shower, or just about anything else, and I have complete faith that Pentax's build quality will keep my camera together till the end. Oh, and it also has dual card slots. You must be wondering about the image quality on the K1. This is where Pentax really knocks it out of the park. I absolutely love the images that come from this camera. There's 36 megapixels of pure goodness when I do my part as the photographer. Shadow recovery on the files is excellent. You can really push these files without introducing tons of noise or color artifacts. In fact, one of the most impressive things on the K1 is that I can even shoot at 12,800 ISO, and the grain pattern's not that offensive, and there's nearly no color noise to speak of. The Pentax K1's totally at home shooting landscapes. With its great resolution, dynamic range, and rugged design, it's particularly well suited to hiking out into the wilderness and getting those epic shots. I've used my K1 extensively even to shoot around the city when I was still living in Oklahoma. The same things that make it great at landscapes really help it excel in the city as well. While I'm not much of a street photographer, other folks like Matthias Berling here on YouTube have used the K1 for street photos with great results. The Pentax is more than adequate for shooting portraiture as well. I've shot a wedding with the K1, some formal family portraits, and a good bit of available light portraits with my wife on our hikes. The K1 performs excellent in this regard. When paired with the excellent 150 to 450 Pentax lens, I wouldn't hesitate to use the K1 for sports or wildlife photos either. While I haven't had my hands on this lens personally yet, a good friend of mine who shoots the K1 Mark II is saying its praises to me. I regard his opinion quite highly as I've seen what he's been able to do with the combination of his K1 II and the 150 to 450 lens. Speaking of the Pentax 150 to 450, Pentax's lenses were a huge draw to this system for me. They're priced at much more attractive prices when you compare them to modern mirrorless lenses, and they really deliver. The 28-105 kit lens that I have is probably the best kit lens that I've shot with to date. It's tack sharp, has nice contrast, and it's super versatile. I had the opportunity to use a friend of mine's 77mm limited lens, and it was a great pleasure. There's something about that lens that's pure magic, and I can't put my finger exactly on what it is. Sure, there are more clinical and sharp lenses on the market today, but they definitely don't look like the images I get from this one. Pentax really threw the gauntlet down with this camera and the Mark II. They pack their cameras with so many awesome pieces of tech and they price them so well. Where else can you find a camera at this price point that has Ibis, a built-in GPS, an astro tracer mode that allows the Ibis to track the stars for you, pixel shift tech, a great 36 megapixel sensor with Pentax's great low light processing, excellent ergonomics, huge customizability, LED lights, and everything else they've crammed in this thing? Well, you can't find it anywhere else, and that's why I own and love my Pentax K1.